The FCC is attempting to exercise authority that it does not have over people and technology it was never empowered to regulate, and it needs to stop. The FCC was created to regulate communications, radio spectrums, transmitters, interference, and that authority comes from statute, and it's limited by statute. That what's happening now is not a technical necessity. It's not grounded in engineering reality, and it's not justified by law. This is about fear and market manipulation. Let's say that plainly. The FCC is attempting to regulate FPV drones and their components, not because of emissions, not because of interference, but because drones have become politically frightening. Fear is not jurisdiction. National security anxiety does not magically expand an agency's mandate. If fear alone were enough, there would be no limits left at all. The FCC does not regulate aviation hardware. It does not regulate batteries. It does not regulate motors. It does not regulate ESCs or flight controllers. These are electromechanical components. Congress did not give the FCC the authority to act as a product safety agency, a supply chain gatekeeper, or a general technology regulator. An agency does not get to invent power because the technology becomes uncomfortable. Importance is not authority, and concern is not jurisdiction. That line matters, or the law means nothing. And if the FCC believes it can claim this authority anyway, then it runs directly into the major questions doctrine. When the agency asserts sweeping new regulatory power with major economic and political consequences, it must point to a clear and explicit authorization from Congress. There is none here. They have never authorized the FCC to regulate hobbyist aviation hardware, to police drone supply chains, to restructure civilian innovation ecosystems, to decide which countries' parts Americans are allowed to build with. This kind of authority cannot be implied, it must be granted, and it hasn't been. If safety is the concern, Congress already has assigned responsibility elsewhere. Consumer goods is the CPSC. Aviation safety, the FAA. Hazardous materials transport, the Department of Transportation. The FCC is not on that list. Agencies do not get to self-appoint jurisdiction just because they feel like someone else isn't acting fast enough. That's not government, that's overreach. And while we're talking about the FCC's priorities, every single person in this country is still being harassed by robocallers daily. Caller ID spoofing is rampant, scam calls are constant, consumer telecom enforcement is weak or non-existent. These are core FCC responsibilities. So forgive this community if it's hard to accept lectures about safety from an agency that has failed for years at one of the most basic consumer protections in modern life. Administrative failure does not justify expanding its own power. It never has, and it never will. Now let's talk about the part one no one wants to say out loud. When fear-driven regulation appears, we have to ask a simple question. Who's benefiting? Because while hobbyists, engineers, small manufacturers are threatened with bans, tariffs, uncertainty, certain well-positioned commercial interests appear to be insulated, if not advantaged, by the disruption. Market chaos is not neutral. Regulatory ambiguity is not neutral. It reshapes industries. And when grassroots innovation is squeezed, consolidation follows. We've seen the largest drone shops in America sell out to corporate overlords and military suppliers. Now, one of the worst is 40% owned by Donnie Jr., and I wonder who's profiting off this round of fascist policy. That alone should concern anyone who believes in competition, domestic engineering, or American innovation. There are also serious appearances of conflict of interest that demand scrutiny. When politically connected individuals or the associates hold advisory or governance roles with companies positioned to profit from restrictive regulation, the public deserves transparency. When tariffs, bans, and fear-based narratives harm an open community while aligning with the business interests of a small number of firms, the public deserves answers. Innovation born in garages, bandos, and workshops is redirected towards the military or strike applications while civilian experimentation is discouraged. We should be asking who's steering this policy and why. If the concern is weaponization, then address weapons law. If the concern is battlefield drones, then address export controls and military procurement. But don't pretend this is about protecting civilians while leaving fiber optic controlled systems untouched, ignoring that batteries, motors, and frames are universal dual-use technologies, selectively targeting hobbyists while industrial and military pathways remain open. It's deeply inconsistent to claim fear of FPV drones while making no comparable effort to regulate infrastructure actually used in modern killing systems. Selective enforcement is not safety policy. It's credibility collapse. This community did not create weapons. It created innovation. It created flight controllers through iteration, motors refined through crashes, frames improved by people who fix what they break. That culture of tinkering, learning, and building is not a threat. It's older than this agency. It's older than modern aviation. It's older than the country itself. I was born in a town named for the Wright brothers. I built my first balsa and gas-powered airplane at 5 years old. I earned my pilot's license at 15. I'm a fifth-generation pilot and engineer. I'm a veteran. My child is going to be the sixth-generation pilot in the family. Leonardo da Vinci was sketching flying machines in the late 1400s. 600 years later, humans are still building the tools they need to fly. That instinct doesn't vanish when you regulate it. It leaves, it goes offshore, it goes underground, it goes to countries that trust engineers instead of fearing them. It doesn't make America safer, this makes America weaker. Every child folds an airplane. Every generation pushes flight forward. If agencies continue claiming authority that they were never given, then don't pretend that this is going to stop with FPV. This path leads to permission-based curiosity, to pre-approved engineering, to a country that consumes innovation instead of creating it, that is cut off its own hands and is unable to feed itself. So I'll ask the only question that matters. Is this really what we want for our children? And if this is yes, say it plainly. But if it isn't, then the solution is simple. Dear FCC, stay within the law, respect statutory limits, do the job you were created to do, regulate communications, and get the fuck out of FPV.